Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. At UFC 267, Islam Makhachev took on Dan Hooker, and going into the fight, this was really Islam Makhachev's toughest test. The first time he's fought someone ranked in the top 10, and he absolutely dominated Dan Hooker. I know Dan Hooker came in on short notice. He took the fight on about a month's notice. Dan Hooker fought at UFC 266 in the end of September, but he went out there, Islam did, took him down, controlled him on the ground, and submitted him via Kimura. It did not take him very long. And everyone is asking, who is Islam Makhachev going to fight next? I've already done one of these videos for Khamzat Chimaev. If you want to check that out, I'll link it in the description as well as in the end cards if you want to go watch that video after this one. But in this video, I'm going to give you a couple likely matchups for Islam Makhachev. Now, this is not my personal preference. I will give you my personal preference on who I would like to see him fight next at the end of the video. But these matchups are going to be in order from least likely to most likely as far as what I think the UFC may do with Islam next. So this first fight, I'm not a big fan of, but I think it's a possibility. I think it's the least likely. Obviously, it's the first fight I'm giving you. But I think there's a chance it could happen, especially Islam Makhachev. He's on a 9-fight winning streak right now, and if he wants to stay active, he took no damage in the Dan Hooker fight. And this could potentially be one of the only opponents who could fight him, in the near future. So the first matchup I have for you guys is Islam Makhachev versus Tony Ferguson. And if the UFC books this matchup, I am going to be absolutely devastated. I do not want to see Islam Makhachev versus Tony Ferguson. We know what Tony Ferguson's weakness is. It's his takedown defense and his wrestling defense. And, I think Islam Makhachev would absolutely dominate him. And I think that just these guys are both at different points in their careers. Islam Makhachev's on his way up. Tony Ferguson, while I think people are dancing on his grave a little bit too much, I think Tony Ferguson's still an elite top 10 lightweight fighter. He's just not really in that championship discussion right now. He has losses to Beneil Dariush, Charles Oliveira, and Justin Gaethje. I don't think he needs a fourth loss in a row against Islam Makhachev. Tony Ferguson needs a little bit of a step back. But after the Thiago Moises win for Islam, he called out Tony Ferguson. And I know, Tony Ferguson has a big name at lightweight. So maybe if he wants to stay active, there's the storyline there. It's like the poor man's Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. That never happened. Islam Makhachev, is Khabib's boy. So maybe, just maybe, the UFC say, you know what, it's a great storyline. It's a very winnable fight for Islam Makhachev, so we'll just book it. So that way Islam Makhachev can put another name on the resume and, make his way to a title. They could probably give him a title shot after that. I don't think it would necessarily be warranted with a win over Tony Ferguson, who's on a 3-fight losing streak. But it would not surprise me if the UFC books this fight. So let's move on to the next fight, a more likely scenario and a fight that I would absolutely love. It would be Islam Makhachev versus the winner of Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler are fighting each other at UFC 268 next Saturday. So they would be on the same timeline. Now, with the whole title picture, you have Charles Oliveira and Poirier fighting next month. So I don't know how everything would line up for the next challenger for the belt. But if Islam Makhachev can get a win over the winner of Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler, he is undoubtedly the number one contender in the lightweight division. I would absolutely love that fight. He matches up well with both guys. As far as, it would be a super competitive fight. Justin Gaethje already has a loss to Khabib, so, we could see, if Islam could do the same thing to Justin Gaethje that Khabib did. I'm not sure. Justin Gaethje has amazing striking. He has great power. And if Islam Makhachev could not get Justin Gaethje to the ground, it'd be a very interesting fight. Same thing with Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is a great wrestler, has great takedown defense. And, he's already fought for a title against Charles Oliveira. He's coming off that loss. But if Michael Chandler beats Justin Gaethje, I would absolutely love to see Islam Makhachev versus Michael Chandler. It'd be very interesting. I'm curious, if Islam runs into a fight where he cannot get his opponent down. And I would just love to see how he fares on the feet, how he deals with that adversity. And we could see that play out in a potential Michael Chandler fight. So I'm interested in either one of those fights. I favor Justin Gaethje in that Michael Chandler fight, so most likely it would be Islam versus Justin Gaethje. And if Islam Makhachev goes on a 10-fight win streak, which he would with one more win, and he beats Justin Gaethje, undoubtedly number one contender. I want to see him fight for a title next. So the next matchup I have for you, and what I think is very likely to happen, I have one more matchup after this that I think is probably more likely. But the next matchup I have for you guys is Islam Makhachev versus Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush doesn't have an opponent. He's coming off a win over Tony Ferguson. He's on a little bit of a win streak right now. He's ranked number 3 in the lightweight division currently. And again, he doesn't have an opponent. He said he wants to return December, January. That kind of works with Islam Makhachev's time frame. Maybe Islam wants to get another fight. I mean, he took no damage in the Dan Hooker fight. So what's stopping him from going in there and fighting Beneil Dariush? Now, I don't know. I think this is likely just because it makes sense. Like, if you're really running this organization like a true sport, it makes perfect sense. Islam, I think, is currently ranked number 5. Maybe that might change after the Dan Hooker win. I don't know. But Beneil Dariush is ranked number 3. They both don't have fights. They're the only two guys who aren't booked right now in the top 5. Makes perfect sense. I mean, it fits together perfectly. But also, you're going to have to worry because Beneil Dariush is a tough fight, and he's not a very big name. And if Islam loses to Beneil Dariush, as far as the UFC sees it, that's not very good. And Beneil Dariush, even though I'm more of a guy who leans on the side of, what a guy does in the cage, and Islam Makhachev is a great fighter as well, and so is Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is nowhere near as promotable to a potential star in the UFC's eyes. So they don't want Islam to potentially lose to Beneil and lose that, potential star power of Islam Makhachev. So maybe the UFC doesn't do it. Maybe they do. I would favor Islam Makhachev in that fight, but you never know. Beneil Dariush has great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu. I just think Islam's grappling is just next level, and I think he'd beat Beneil. And then, without a doubt, he would be the number 1 contender. And I would love, if he gets one more fight over a top 5 opponent, he would have beat a top 10 opponent and then a top 5, be on a big win streak, a 10-fight win streak at that point. And I would love to see him fight for a title. Now, this number 1 fight I have for you guys, I think is the most likely scenario. And there's some people already out there calling for this potential fight. And I would say, honestly, 75% chance this happens. Islam Makhachev, without fighting another fight, fights the winner of Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier. As long as there's nothing, weird that goes on, they fight at UFC 269 in December. As long as nothing weird happens in the Oliveira-Poirier fight, I think that Islam will fight the winner, especially if Justin Gaethje loses to Michael Chandler. So if Michael Chandler wins at UFC 268, I don't think Michael Chandler's getting another title shot right now. I just don't think it's happening. He's coming off a loss to Charles Oliveira earlier this year for the title. I don't think he's going to get another title shot on a 1-fight win streak. Now, Justin Gaethje, even though he'd be on a 1-fight win streak as well, I think he was the interim champion. He lost to Khabib. There's a chance, and also Justin Gaethje just has that spectacular style. I think if Justin Gaethje beats Michael Chandler at 268, there's a chance Justin Gaethje gets the winner of Charles Oliveira versus Poirier. But if Michael Chandler loses or Michael Chandler beats Justin Gaethje, I think for almost 100% certainty that Islam Makhachev will be fighting for the belt next. I personally favor Charles Oliveira in that Dustin Poirier fight. So let's just say Chandler beats Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira beats Poirier. I think in spring of 2022, we will see Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. And the reason I say spring of 2022 is because that would be the right time frame. Who knows how that fight may go with Dustin Poirier. Charles Oliveira may have injuries, cuts, whatever, need a little bit of time off. And we know Islam Makhachev's not going to fight over the summer. Khabib didn't either because they celebrate Ramadan. So I really believe Islam Makhachev, the UFC sees him as a huge star. A lot of people are behind him. He's on a great winning streak, even though he doesn't have the biggest quality names. A win over Dan Hooker means something. Michael Chandler got a title shot with a win over Dan Hooker. So there's a very solid case to make for Islam Makhachev fighting for the UFC lightweight title next. Very promotable, big star, and I am salivating at the potential matchup of Charles Oliveira defending his lightweight title against Islam Makhachev. If you guys been following the channel for a while, I said this very early in the channel, one of my dream matchups that was never going to come to fruition is Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Charles Oliveira, and we kind of get it with Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. I know Islam's not exactly the same, but it's a very similar stylistic matchup. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do not forget to like the video if you enjoy these videos, and thank you so much for watching.